Good day, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we will learn or we will review the Bloom's taxonomy. Before that, let us have this first. Good luck is when opportunity meets preparation, while bad luck is when lack of preparation meets reality. But I'm very sure if you're listening right now because you're studying, because you want to pass the exam, because you want to top the exam, you will surely have a good luck. So congratulations in advance. Please share, like, subscribe, and complete this video now. Complete watching this video, and you surely pass or top the exam. Now, let me start with this introduction. No, with the introduction of the proponent of Bloom's taxonomy. He is Benjamin Samuel Bloom. He was an American educational psychologist who made contributions to the classification of educational objectives and the theory of mastery of learning. Baka kasi, in the board exam, the question will ask this way: who was the American educational psychologist who contributed to educational objectives classification or to the theory of mastery of learning? Balik-balik natin, pinaulit-ulit natin sa mind natin ang Bloom's taxonomy. But we don't know if that question will be raised. We don't know the answer. It's just Benjamin Bloom. Okay? So this is Benjamin Bloom. Okay, now let's define what is the Bloom's taxonomy. But first, let's have the definition of taxonomy. Kasi, I know na sa science natin naririnig ang mga taxonomy, di ba, ng mga words ng taxonomy, ang word na taxonomy. But now, let us define really what is taxonomy para hindi mawala po sa isip natin kung ano ba talagang ibig sabihin ng Bloom's taxonomy. So when we say taxonomy, it's a system of classification. So parang we're just studying to the Bloom's systems of classification of educational objectives, or in short, the Bloom's taxonomy. O di ba? That's it. Now let's have its definition. This is an instructional theory to categorize or that categorizes levels of learning. So we have levels of learning. So later we expect that in our discussion, we have lower level of thinking skills, order thinking skills, and we have higher level. Okay, later. And for the second definition, it's a tool used for instructors to assist with writing learning outcomes. Okay, it's our daily job, diba, to teach our students. So we have our blueprint. We have our lesson plan, and our lesson plan will usually start with learning objectives. Like at the end of the lesson, the students will be able to solve quadratic equation. At the end of the lesson, the students will be able to define religion, to enumerate different countries of the world, parang mga ganyan. And we usually do that every day as teachers. Sa ibang hindi pa teacher, no, dahil nagre-review, ganyan ginagawa natin, no? In your 4 years education, di ba, we are doing that? Okay? For curriculum planning, example, di ba ang curriculum natin ay PE curriculum? So, always lang ba tayo sa defining? We would like to define the different sports, to define the different dances, to enumerate the different equipment needed para maganyan. No, di ba? Because in PE curriculum, for example, we want also to develop coaches, to develop trainers, mga dancers. So, we will deal to higher order, di ba? Na mga sa Bloom's taxonomy, objectives. So, useful siya in planning for a curriculum. Okay? Then, content delivery as well as assessment of learning levels. Of course, when we write for our learning objectives, outcomes, for example, to solve for quadratic equation, then in the delivery of the content, of course, we want the students to solve. I will not just give definition. I will not just have them memorize this. What is a quadratic equation? What is, or give me the different quadratic equation if we have, somehow like that, somehow like that. Hindi, because my learning outcome is ano ngayon? To solve. So my content delivery is, of course, there will be practice sets for the about quadratic equations na mag-solve ang mga students. Of course, after that, i-assess din base sa anong learning outcomes nyo na ginplan for that specific lesson. Like for solving quadratic equation, so of course, ang assessment is solving. We will let the students solve. Diba? Reciting a poem, then the student should recite. Define religion, then the student should define. Okay? So that's the beauty of Bloom's taxonomy. From our learning outcomes, to the content delivery, to the assessment. Dapat align sila. Okay? Now, this is the Bloom's taxonomy. We start with remember or remembering. Okay, ano kaya ang remember? Okay, para sa akin, the way I understand this or the way I will not forget this is by synonyms. Mga synonyms lang kung ano ang synonym ng remembering. So here, remember is to memorize only. Memorize, to reproduce, or to recognize facts and terms. So when our teacher will ask us to give the different religions of the world, so we are just memorizing the religions, diba? Hinduism, Buddhism, diba? So that's just remembering facts and terms, okay? If we go to higher sa remember, we understand or understanding dito. So, again, paano to matatandaan? Parang maghanap ka lang ng mga synonyms. Okay, understanding. Describe, di ba? Ang synonym ng understand is comprehend. So, when we are able to comprehend, we can restate na. We can restate, we can translate using our own words because we understand. For example, your teacher is reading a story. Okay, a story. Tapos your teacher will ask you, okay, can you reshare or retell the story using your own words? You cannot reshare or retell the story using your own words if you do not understand, if you did not comprehend, di ba? If hindi nyo na kuha, hindi ka makakashare using your own words. So, ang synonyms ko dito, comprehension, comprehend, understand, restate. Okay, there are many words to describe the levels, no, the Bloom's taxonomy. Pero ito ang pinaka pagkatatandaan natin, ha, usually, ha, marami pa ang mga words na mag-relate sa understand. Okay? Now let's have applying or apply. So anong synonyms? To utilize, di ba? To apply or make useful. So in mathematics, like for example, my example earlier, to solve quadratic equation, then that's application. Gagamitin ng mga estudyante ang quadratic formula sa mga math teacher dyan, or factoring, or completing this square, then that's application. Na-utilize niya ang quadratic formula, na-apply niya ang factoring techniques, na-use niya ang completing the square. In that way, he has applied the concept. Okay, and usually in mathematics, no, for example, so when we solve, when we compute, mga terms like solve, compute, no, solve, compute, so application niya, applying. Okay, and remember, these three levels belong to the lower order thinking skills. So, mga lower level lang pala muna ito sila. The lots. Remember this? Lots. Lower order thinking skills. Okay? Now, let's have here the first part of dito, kung may lower, ay may higher. So, sila ang mga hots. Ang hots nyo, parang ganyan. Ha? So, ang tatlo, first three ay lots. The upper three ay hots. Okay. Now, what's analyze? So, to identify and examine components. Okay? Examination. So, tatandaan nyo ang mga keywords. Compare and contrast. Okay. Identify assumptions and deduce implications. Okay? Tatandaan nyo yan. So, for example, sa English, may poem or poem na ang teacher nyo pinabasa or story, say story, and you will identify what is the plot, what is the who are the characters, what is the main story, what is the flow of the story. So you are going to examine the components, okay? So analysis is breaking down the components para mas ma-understand mo siya. Okay, that's analysis. Later, we will have scenarios so that you will really understand these 6. Now, pag tumaas ka pa from analysis, you have to evaluate or evaluating to make judgment. Okay, when we evaluate, we judge. We determine validity of a claim, di ba? We select and defend a position. Okay? So, easy example of this is to judge. Okay, so example, you're a teacher or you're a student lang, tapos your teacher wants you to also rate your classmates' work. Like, pinagawa kayo ng flower arrangement because PE ang topic nyo, di ba? And you should also rate your classmates' work as part sa pag-rate ng teacher following criteria. So you judge, you evaluate. So higher order na yan kasi based on use of colors, 90%. Parang mga ganyan. Okay? Now, lastly, we have creating. This is the highest level in the Bloom's taxonomy. Of course, kasi we create na. We make our own. Diba? We make connections. We identify new relationship or design something new. Okay. For example, in PE, you talked about folk dancing. You talk about hip hop or different type of dances, and your teacher will let you create or will let you make your choreography, your own dance. Di ba? Ikaw na bahala kung i-mix mo si hip hop to folk dancing or si folk dancing to yung interpretation dance o ano ba yan ng mga terms, then that's creating because you are to make something new, make connections, identify new relationships. Okay? So these are the key terms. Memorize and understand the key terms. And additionally, we have here new digital planning verbs for the Bloom's taxonomy. And just to choose some, for remembering, we have Googling. It's remembering na pala, no? Bullet pointing, repeating, outlining. For understanding, here, we have tagging because this is digital. So tweeting, di ba? Interpreting, contrasting. Now, for applying, we have this one, loading, examining. For analyzing, we have correlating, distinguishing. For evaluating, we have here many planning verbs. And for creating, we have writing, filming, blogging, or what I'm doing now, vlogging, and so, oh, no. And there are many verbs that will relate to these 6 levels of objectives. Okay? Now let's have the situations. Here, like teacher Sheerwina, a literature teacher, asks her students to choose any poem of Edgar Allan Poe and recite in the class. What Bloom's level is emphasized. If you don't know the situation, this is how the board exam or the let will ask. No, the way we ask the topic Bloom's taxonomy will be in situation. Okay, like this. So, kung hindi mo alam, Tagalogin mo, Bisayain mo, si teacher daw let the students choose any poem and recite in the class. So, kung i-recite ko sa klase, syempre, na-memorize ko yan. I-recite ko lang hindi ko na dapat i-analyze. I-memorize ko lang. Ito, i-recite. If that's the case, I memorize and I recite, sir, that's just remembering. Correct. Hindi. Remembering. Wala ka nag-create. Wala ka nag-analyze. Hindi ka muna nag-understand. Kasi pinabasa ka lang, pinamemorize ka lang, pinarecite ka lang. Hindi nag-ask pa si Ma'am Sheerwina. Hindi ka rin nag-apply ng concept sa poem ni Edgar Allan Poe. And you did not judge, no, the recitation of your classmate. If that's the case, it's remembering. Okay? How about number 2? Teacher Mimiyyah. Another literature teacher asked her students to make their own poem. Babasahin ko ang sakto later, poem, and present it in the class. Okay, so like what I said kanina, ang pinaka-key term ng creating ay making, utilizing. So make their own poem. Kasi gagawa na sila ng sarili nilang tula. If that's the case, that's the highest. It's creating. Wow, Teacher Mimiyyah is the best. Pero kung sa mga students ito, i-hate nila si Teacher Mimiyyah kasi difficult na itong gawin. 'Di ba? Kasi the higher the objective, the level of objective according to Bloom's, the more difficult. Kasi compared to Ma'am Sheerwina, pinamemorize lang niya. So like, all things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, 'di ba? Memorize lang agad. Here it's creating. Pero talagang you will develop ma-develop ang skills nyo mentally talaga sa pag-iisip. If you are to create, you make your own. No. Now, let's have 3. Miss Anniebelles, an English teacher, recites a story in the class. Siyang nag-recite. Baka sabihin nyo, uy, recites. Ano nga yung kapag recites? Remembering na. No, may continuation pa, oh. She asks her students to retell the story using their own words. If that's the case, sige daw, gumawa ba tayo ng own story? Hindi. X. Nag-judge ba tayo or pina-rate or pina-evaluate ng story? Hindi. Si teacher nag-recite, pero pina-recite niya again sa students niya using their own words. Nag-apply ba tayo ng mga concepts of story dyan? Diba? Wala. How about remembering? Pinamemorize ba ni teacher? Hindi niya pinamemorize lang. Pinaretell niya. Pinaretell niyang story. So, hindi. How about understanding? Mariretell mo bang story kapag naka-understand ka? Yes. Diba? That's the case. It's understanding. Okay, again, and the understanding, the key term is to retell the story using your own words. Retelling, redefining, or defining using your own. Di ba? Kasi na-comprehend mo na, so alam mo na kung anong ibig sabihin nun. Number 4, Miss Jade, a math teacher, assigns each student 2 quadratic equations each and asks them to find the zeros of the given equation. Sa math makaka-relate, or here, rephrase lang, to solve the given quadratic equation. Parang ganyan lang. She tells them to use what method works best for them. Okay. And usually, here, in this scenario, baka sasabihin natin, parang analyzing yan or applying. Okay? And usually, dito din tayo we will have difficulty in differentiating the two. Usually, applying and analyzing. But in mathematics, if we are asked to solve only or to compute or to find the solution, that's applying. Ha? Remember, in math, when we are just asked to solve, to compute, baka sasabihin nyo kasi, syempre mag-analyze ako, sir, kasi mag-solve ako, mag-compute. Okay? But it's applying because the concepts of quadratic equations are taught by Ma'am Jade. So, pina-practice niya lang, no? Ma'am Jade wants her students also to practice getting the solution, getting the zeros of the equation. So, in-apply na lang. Baka sabihin nyo, paano kaya yan ma-analyzing, sir? If ginamit na yun na concept sa isang, may situation na. Situational na. Like, naging example, if Teacher Jade is 2 years older than her students, 10 years older than her students, 5 years from now, parang ganyan. Nagamit na sa saan? Saan po nagamit ang concept? Sa word problems, di ba? Ang concept ng quadratic equation, pinasok na sa word problems, naging word problems na, age problem, work problem, and so, using quadratic equation, syempre, mag-a-analyze ka na dyan. Okay? Hindi ka lang mag-compute at mag-solve. Okay? That's it. Now, let's have the fifth one. Maam Kevina, a PE teacher, presents different pre-recorded dances of his students to the class. He wants his students to rate the different presentations as one of the basis of his grades using rubrics or following the criteria. Ay, kanina pa sa pag-explain natin, when we rate, it's just evaluation. We also evaluate. And that's the case, evaluating po yan, sir. Correct. Di ba? That's evaluating. Okay, see? May ibang situations kasi na nakalagay na talaga dyan ang keywords, key terms. So, if that's the case, that's it na. Kaya, it's important also to familiarize those keywords, okay, or verbs. Now, let's have the sixth one. Teacher Michelle, after discussing the topics on religions, wants her class to use Venn diagram in showing the similarities and differences of the different religions discussed in class. What Bloom's level is emphasized? Parang ano kaya, no? Si Teacher Michelle, so, Bisayain nyo, Tagalogin nyo, nag-discuss ng topic about religion daw. Tapos, gusto ni Teacher Michelle, kung hindi nyo alam ang Venn diagram, ito yung parang dalawang circle. Oh, hindi perfect circle. Sorry na ha, kasi nawalang 10 tablets. So, dito, si ano na religion? Dito, si religion C. Tapos, ano ang common nila? Ano ang differences nila? So, yung dalawang circles na overlapping or tatlo, ganon. That's the Venn diagram. Okay, so, hala, may key terms ako dito. Similarities and differences. Parang comparing and contrasting siya, no? To compare to different. If that's the case, naalala ko, because I'll be breaking that religion like Hinduism, anong similarity niya sa Buddhism, anong difference niya sa Muslim, mga ganyan. I-break ko ang mga concepts into parts. If that's the case, I'm not applying. Yes, I need remembering, pero it's higher. Yes, I need understanding, pero parang mas higher pa kasi hindi ito nire-retell ko lang. Di ba? Yes, of course, I need analysis. Wala, oo nga no. Parang, let's check the three. Creating, pinagawa ko ng Venn diagram, pero base sa concepts learned. So, hindi ito. Evaluating, of course, hindi ako nag-judge, nag-evaluate. Okay, hence, ang na-remain, analyzing. If that's the case, that's it. Okay? Ganyan lang po ka-basic, guys. Kasi nga, sa analyzing, if you want to look at the verbs, kasama ang compare and contrast doon. So, familiarize with the verbs and you will know that that is analyzing. Okay? Okay, before totally ending the presentation, please read these verbs and you should remember these also. For remembering, these are the verbs to remember. For understanding, these are the verbs to remember. For applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Okay? That will be all again. Thank you. Bye-bye. And congratulations for passing the licensure examination for teachers. Again, if you're new here, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share with other friends so that all of us will pass or even top the exam. I'll be discussing more mathematics topics and education topics, so keep on watching, guys. Bye-bye for now.